Welcome to Cut Daisies and Unicorns, and it's Friday. We're not talking trailer yet. We're doing full episode, but we are a day later than we usually when we usually record the podcast. So
day late and dollars short.
Right.
That's us right here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's okay.
Yeah.
Like, I feel fresh.
I do too.
Feel renewed.
You know what? Renewed in the waters of my baptism every morning when I take a shower.
Oh, man.
See, it's the Baptist Lutheran combination. It's full immersion sprinkling. Everybody's like, what?
What is happening? Are we on the right podcast?
How is the rebaptism rate and the reconversion rate? I don't want to confuse people out there. These are inside jokes, and there's no Christianese to it. We're actually making fun in a lighthearted way of things that a lot of people hold sacred and holy. So with that, I say, fully immersed by sprinkling.
Yeah. So when you know, you know. So if you're on the inside, you might know. If you're on the outside, you're like, what the hell is happening?
Or, I mean, just to break it down really quick, for people who are Baptist and believe in full immersion, baptism is the only legitimate baptism, which I find it super interesting on how strongly people hold that.
Oh, yeah.
When they look at it, not as a sacrament, but as an ordinance.
Mm-hmm.
So the purpose of being baptized in an ordinance is that you're having a public testimony outwardly showing people what has happened inwardly.
Right.
That's the ordinance part. The sacramental part, held by by many Lutherans, I won't say all, because I don't know all Lutherans, but the sacramental part is that upon your baptism, there's a mystery that is unexplainable, something that occurs that through the element of water, and there's nothing special about the water. It's not holy water, like the Catholic Church believes.
Right.
But that in that, what occurs is that there is a bestowing of grace that's unexplainable.
Right.
And so, and so, since I was baptized as a Baptist, it was an outward signifying thing. I haven't been rebaptized. Why I said that about rebaptism and, is because there's a lot of people who are like, well, the faith imparted in a Lutheran's life has to be reconstructed over a confession of prayer of sinner unto salvation, which seems to me, this isn't about denomination, but it seems to me that if you put the condition on that you have to pray, it seems like you got a part in the work of salvation.
Right. It does seem that way.
I mean, and people can say, well, what about where it says if you confess with your mouth the Lord Jesus Christ, you shall be saved? Well, yeah, but I haven't run into many Lutherans who would not be willing to confess that.
Right.
Yeah. It doesn't say,
Right.
So anyway, I'm in deep hooch with all the people are like, really, you gotta create a tribalism, divisionism of dualism on your introductory part of this blessed episode. Well, apparently so. That's how easy it is to create an illustration of tribalism and dualism. One way's right, the other way's wrong.
Right.
Or is there a way we don't know? See, now you're getting doo-doo.
Right. When you bring in a third party, it destroys the dualism.
What we just did is we said there might be something that no one even understands or knows. What you don't know what you don't know.
Right.
Quote unquote, Linda Garthy. One of her favorite axioms or sayings. But yeah. Yep. Hey, I just want to go on the record, keep everybody in the loop on my dietary change of life right now.
Right. We talked about that on the last episode with the food changes. So.
Yeah, and created. I came up with. You're gonna love this.
Yeah.
I need to do this so you can see Phil's face. All right. Steveo's Super Smoothie.
Steveo Super Smoothie. Oh, so it sounds like you've already marketed it too. You're like, not only have I created a smoothie, I've given it a name, and I already have a commercial in my head.
Well, if Steveo from Jackass wasn't
Right.
so prominent, I think I could pull off the Steveo brand, but Steveo's already Steveo, so, and I really don't want to go by Stevie. And Stevie Nicks, though, oh, that voice.
Yeah.
Folks, do you see what this episode's going to feel like all day long?
Yeah.
We're going to bounce. We're going to pounce. We're going to be like Tigger. The wonderful things about Tiggers are wonderful things. Their heads are made out of rubber. Their tails are made out of springs. They're bouncy, pouncy, bouncy, pouncy, fun, 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 fun. The most wonderful thing about Tiggers is he's the only one.
This is where the episode's going today, isn't it?
That's what I was saying.
This is exactly where.
Bam, bam, bam. I'm telling you, yesterday when I completely confessed to you at 4:15 or whatever, I'm like, dude, I got nothing in me.
Right. Can't put a thought together.
I can't even creatively think. Now
everything's firing.
Now you get plate spinner, arms around. I got full of life. But Super Smoothie.
Yeah. Super Smoothie.
I upped it with a trip to Costco on Tuesday. I picked up some protein
powder.
Yeah. Because
is it whey protein? Or
no, it's just flat out. It's all the stuff. It's like kind of a super powder kind of thing. 1 gram of sugar, and yeah, lots of everything. But I'm telling you, dude. And then with the excess, people are like, I try to make a smoothie, but there's stuff left over. I feel bad pouring it down the drain. You don't have to. I took out one of our containers.
Yeah.
Again, a nice black container. Looks like it'll hold a meal.
Yeah.
I just pour the extra in there and put it in the freezer.
Oh.
By the time it fills up, guess what? All I got to do is pull it out and thaw it a little bit, throw it back in the blender. And I've got all the smoothie, like, boom. I figure this is how this rolls. This is how this rolls. For every 4 days of smoothies that I make, I get the 5th day for free.
So are you doing this for breakfast, or when is this? When is this happening?
This is really important.
Steveo's Super Smoothie.
Steveo's Super Smoothie fits into the dietary diversion plan.
Yeah.
Because I don't really want to be on a diet. I'm looking for a lifestyle change.
Sure.
Right? And so how this works out is I am committed. I have my first cup of coffee's hot and black. Because who doesn't want their coffee black and hot? Then my second cup of coffee typically is cold with my heavy whipping cream.
Yeah.
So then I get the fat to satiate any like grumblies from being not nutritionalized.
There you go.
No food in my system, right? My next step, the next time I'm hungry, I have the smoothie on hold. I make the smoothie before I leave. When I get into the studio, I put the smoothie into the refrigerator. It's got a top on it. It's in a thermos cup so it doesn't freeze up or anything like that.
Yeah.
Then I slurp down that smoothie. Then I'm good, man. I'm good for a long time because it's got flaxseed and it's got chia pets in it.
All the pets of the chia. The chia gave babies, and I just blended them up. And
oh my gosh, yeah. And
are you not pro chia life?
I'm pro chia in my belly. And so, but that's the thing is that's fiber, right? And those little chia seeds, when they get wet, they get all goopy and thick and stuff. And so it's like in your tummy doing that same thing. And so, yeah. And so then if I can't make it to the end of the day, which, I mean, is understandable if you're working a 10 or 12-hour day, right?
It's true, yeah.
You know, if I can't get to the end of the day, then what I do is I have meat protein that, and I, like, totally cut out all the carbs on that. Like, I'm not eating, well, today I brought 2 mini roll turkey sandwiches on bread. But, I mean, it's not for the complete. You can't eliminate carbohydrates.
Right.
I mean, there's no way.
Right.
Especially with a carb conversion with sugars. And here's the thing. We are definitely, I personally, in Steveo's slick conversion to dietary realignment, I mean, naturals are better than processed.
Right.
So I'm not taking 3 scoops of sugar to go in with the lemon. That is one thing in the super smoothie.
Yeah.
Is I take a lemon, I have a squeezer or a lime, and I squeeze in a full lemon or lime into that because it's got
a full one.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, but no sugar. But man, it's tart. It's man. I'm telling you.
So what is it? Do you want to give this recipe out or?
Well, I mean,
So
I'll do it without the doses. I mean, because this is proprietary.
Right. I mean, it is Stevio's super smoothie.
Yeah. But yeah. So you know, I take 0% Greek yogurt because everybody's like, well, yogurt has all that sugar in it. Not if you buy the right yogurt. But if you're using fruit, you're adding sugar to the yogurt.
Right.
You know, but as most people know, the need to be regular is a great need within the human body.
It is.
If you're not regular, there's floating and bloating and all this stuff.
There's all kinds of issues.
Yeah. So circling the drain. And so blueberries. Yeah, so take
you do
a cup,
Greek yogurt, 0% blueberries,
2 scoops of the protein
2
powder.
scoops protein.
I do take a quarter or a half a cup of orange juice. If I want it, when I plateau out on my weight loss, then what I'll start doing is I'll start like eliminating the extra. But for right now, I mean, like, if I'm going to pour water in, why not pour orange juice? People would say because of the calories and because of the sugar. Yeah, well, I'm losing weight, so it doesn't matter right now.
Right.
Right. And I'm not like lifting weight and bulking up and like going to be in some swimsuit muscle builder competition. There's a picture for you.
All right.
Although, I would like to see me in one of those outfits flexing with my beard.
There is a difference. I noticed. I mean, before I just used to run.
Yeah.
And it was fun. I mean, but then I started doing like running or whatever, or elliptical, and then I started also lifting weights.
Yeah.
So and like to me, I'm also not on a like a regimen of lifting weights. Like I'm always trying to, like, you know, bulk everything. I'm like mainly just keeping stuff tight, except for my midsection is not tight.
Well, because I started documenting this. I was going to say
this journey.
I was going to say transition, but that's really not what's happening right now. It's not a transitional statement. So I've been documenting, and today I pulled out the clothing tape measure.
Yeah. And
I tape measured my waist, my belly, and my chest.
Yeah.
I think technically I'm a 44A. I don't know that for sure.
On your top?
Yeah.
Steve's an A cup.
Which, I mean, you know, for a dude my age, that's a blessing in disguise.
It is.
Yeah. But I don't drink a lot of milk, and so I don't have additive hormones coming in to accentuate my hormonal growth on my top side.
You're not going to be milking anything with those.
Oh my gosh, you're offensive.
I am offensive.
So yeah, and then even though the protein powder has like it has chia and flax in it, I go for the boost.
Which is the boost?
I just do a tablespoon of each.
Oh, so you do flax, a tablespoon. Oh, but you weren't supposed to give that out.
Well,
but I guess
that
you didn't.
I mean, come on, it's chia and
Right.
it's flax. I mean,
Right.
like, that's not like all that. Today I added spinach. And spinach doesn't affect the flavor. It maybe add a little bit of earthy tone to it, but not. I'm telling you, not substantial. And I may refine this this lovely recipe where like I start cutting back on. I might cut back on some yogurt for some fat content. Like I said, I'm gonna watch my see when I plateau.
Yeah, because the Greek yogurt's got protein in it too, right?
Oh yeah.
So you're looking at some added protein. How much protein do you think is in there then?
I have no clue. Someday I should write that down, shouldn't I? Yeah, it's
Just
a lot.
so you know, I mean, because I think Heather does some protein drinks every once in a while, and they're like 1 gram of sugar and like 20, I think it's like 20 to 22 grams of protein.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, but it's probably in a smaller, more concise
Right,
consumption.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I'm drinking like 2.5 to 3 cups of this stuff.
Yeah.
Like I mean, when it's a smoothie for me, it's a smoothie shake. I mean, without ice cream, but
Right.
yeah, and I don't know. This thing, like when I calculate the calories and stuff like that, I'm probably consuming somewhere between 500 and 700 calories.
Okay.
But
it's not bad. I mean, if you're looking at it,
it's a meal replacement
if
for
it
at least
takes over breakfast and lunch, right?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, even so, if you're looking at trying to I mean, like nuts would be a good, like almonds almonds would probably be the best in that area, like for snacking.
Yep.
So those you might be able to incorporate too. There's some.
I have a trail mix without any chocolate in it, and it has raisins and cranberries in it with walnuts and macadamia and almonds and things like that. The thing that I do know about nuts is that nuts are like cheese.
Yeah, they are.
Which is why mice probably like them both. But it's high fat content and then and really for the amount of calories that you get for like 1/8 of a cup of almonds and stuff like that. I mean, but here's the other thing. Got to keep two things. Got to keep the plumbing working.
Right.
So you got to figure out your fiber in with what's going on. I got another little cheat that I've done recently, and net carbs is 2 grams and net sugars is 4 grams of sugar, but it's the protein at Aldi, the protein bars.
Yeah.
And they're like dark chocolate and peanut butter kind of thing, but it doesn't have any Rice Krispies in it like the other cheaper, like you don't, so you're not like beefing up on carbs there.
Right.
But if I'm like, oh, I'm getting grumbly, I just pound 250 calories. It's got the protein in it. And then, it's just making it to, but I'm watching portion sizes going smaller, which is cool. I'm upping my drinking game. Drinking water. And for the record, I will say that I know for all of the times I've tried to lose weight in the last year and was not successful, I'm sure a major component right now is I'm not drinking beer. And
That's
so
probably a big one.
It's a big one. But I'm committed to it.
Right.
Like I'm committed, like I'm guessing I won't have a drink of alcohol until I hit my goal weight, just as the goal, just so that I can stay. But I feel so much better I'm down 8 pounds, 2 weeks.
It's pretty good.
That I had a real boost that first week, and then yesterday,
which usually happens. It kind of goes quicker, and then it plateau, and then you try to break through that. I
got 3 major tiers to work through. But today I broke into like it gives me a good hitting to my what I will consider technically one of my major tiers, which is 205. Give me a couple more weeks and we'll see where we're at.
All right.
Once I can break through that from 205 to 195, that's another 197-ish. And but yeah, so
well, I should also give you one of Heather's Kirkland protein bars, because she uses those for a meal replacement. So, I mean,
Okay.
because they're like real high in protein, no sugar.
Right.
And you'd say I don't know how they put it together with no sugar, but yeah. So
Well, what they what I've picked up on is even though that there's sugar in it and stuff like that, there's a diabolical formula. It's an evil formula.
Yeah.
It's the formula that like most people don't know about, and it's like, yeah, according to our dietary blah blah blah. So when you take in so much protein, it offsets what sugar you're taking in. Yada yada yada.
sure,
All
okay.
these nutritionists out
Right.
there keeping track and all this stuff.
They
But
got
here's
their
what I
stuff.
know. When I eat a meal now,
Mhm.
my midsection isn't uncomfortable, like blowing up and just.
Yeah.
I think that there's a little bit of like not lactose intolerance. What's that other stuff?
Gluten?
Yeah, I think I got a little bit of gluten.
Gluten intolerance?
I think so. I mean, like certainly not celiac
Sure.
by any means, but and my body's like, hey, thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yeah.
Now you just have to make sure that with all of that protein and roughage, you got to drink water, or else the system is gonna.
Is that the deal?
It'll back up.
Yeah.
Yeah, because too much, protein and roughage. If you're not drinking enough
I thought roughage
fluids-
just pushed it all through.
No, sometimes with that roughage, it'll the fiber clumps. It backs things.
Ooh.
if it's not fluid.
It's kind of like a colon superglue.
Right.
Ah.
Yeah.
Slam that shut.
It holds it.
Boom.
Yeah, so lots of fluid during that time. I mean, water is always good, anytime. But yeah, it's a
So
good journey to
I have
be
a-
able to share.
When you feel like you're taking in so much water that you're feeling like you're floating a little bit,
Right.
I have a natural diuretic, dandelion.
Ah,
And so I take a dandelion. I just started back up.
like a
because
pill or
It is,
Okay.
in pill form.
yeah.
And then what was the other thing I was thinking about? Two major things that'll clean you out. Oatmeal,
Mm-hmm.
which again, you're moving into oats and grains, so how's that work out with the carbs, right?
Right.
But I checked out the carbohydrates in popcorn.
Yeah.
Because, see, right now I'm not worried about fat content until, like, cholesterol levels go out of whack or whatever.
Sure.
But popcorn doesn't have a high carbohydrate level.
Right.
Man, I ate a bag of popcorn the other night.
Uh-huh.
Cleaned me out the whole next day. All day long.
Wow.
It was perfect.
And then how do you do the popcorn? Or you do?
It was in the microwave. It wasn't
butter, salt, or you try to limit that too?
So
or?
it's movie blasto butter kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I did take a quarter, not a full quarter stick, but a quarter of a quarter, probably 2 or 3 teaspoons of butter, and melted it on. Because I'm like, you know what? If I'm going to do this, I'm going to enjoy it. But again, in my head, I'm not worried about fat content right now because I'm drinking heavy whipping cream in my coffee.
It's true.
Right? But I'm watching this.
Mm-hmm.
The combination is satiation. How can I make sure that I'm not walking around feeling like I'm on, one of those starvation
Right.
protests?
Try to stay away from the blahs.
Yeah. And then the other thing is, satiation. So, just feeling satisfied and that everything's okay. And then I'm just, and I am, like, I'm watching caloric intake. But there's been some times as I've been drinking water, it's been hot around, and stuff like that. I'm like, gosh, I'm holding all this water in my legs. Like I can feel it down by my ankles and stuff like that. So I started popping some dandelion root. And we'll see how that works. So if we're like, hey, we'll be right back with you, everyone, Steve has to pee.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. And I really, to be honest with you, I read somewhere that, I was watching some movie and it was about, I started reading a book. See how this is going to go, folks? I started reading a Tom Clancy book and this one sniper was there and just talking about circadian rhythms and how that, naturally humans wake up in the morning. Well, In my prior life, that hasn't been the case. But for the last couple weeks, it's been true. As the sun starts coming, I can tell by how light or dark it is coming through the window. I'm like, oh, it's about 4:15. Oh, it's about 5:30. Oh, well, I'm awake now. Hello, 6 o'clock a.m.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I'm not staying up. Yeah, I get to the end of the day and I'm like, whew, I'm bushed.
It's time.
Time to go nighty-night.
The body's time. Shut it down.
No
Shut it down.
melatonin needed.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So, that's all I got.
That's good.
All right.
Thanks for the update.
Steve's Super Smoothie.
Steveo. Super smoothie. Ah, yes. But it may have to just be Steve if you're trying to steer away from the Steveo brand.
Well, and you don't want to flip it around like Super Smoothie Steve.
Super smooth. I don't know. I don't even.
And so, yeah.
Super smooth Steve.
Super smooth.
Yeah.
Have you had one of those super smoothies? It's Steve. No. No. No.
There's too many.
No.
Too many
Don't
directions
do
to be
it.
able
Don't.
to
No.
head.
No. Don't close your eyes. Don't think about that. Don't even try to put it in your head. The answer is no.
Right. Just no.
Yep.
No sounds good.
Nope. Nope. Nope.
Yeah. So we got Lollapalooza happening in the Chicagoland this weekend. So it started last night or yesterday.
It's affecting traffic.
It does affect traffic.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine trying to be able to head downtown right now.
Yeah, I'm not heading downtown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, last year they had over 100,000 people. So if you're you're looking at that was still even a threat of be careful with this. They tested everybody every day, that kind of thing. I mean,
they tested them doing what?
For COVID.
Oh, like STDs.
No, I mean I'm sure that needs to be done too, but that's a whole nother level of testing.
So you know what I heard is that at the hospitals at the libraries,
they have Narcan.
What?
The libraries offer Narcan for ODs.
Let them know what Narcan is.
Oh yeah, so it reverses the effects, especially of like heroin or opioids, fentanyl.
Yeah, and you can get your drugs tested for fentanyl before you take the drugs. I.e., if you're picking up a joint on the corner, and
just in case.
Actually, last year there was a rise in fentanyl. Overdose.
Yep.
Because of that.
There was.
I mean, like, that's a real. Hey, if you got kids listening, turn this off. That's a real shitty deal that drug dealers are lacing their drugs with fentanyl.
Right.
When people are buying weed. Why do that?
Right.
Why be the drug asshole?
Yeah, and we had. I mean, it was in. So somebody that we know here at Tabor, somebody who was an acquaintance. Like, it wasn't a friend, but they had a friend who was doing some stuff in that realm, and one of them OD'd and died, and one of them OD'd and luckily had Narcan and was able to reverse.
Wow.
So that's it's still occurring, like it's going on. That fentanyl is being brought into all kinds of different stuff, and fentanyl will kill you. Yeah. So that, kids, you can hear.
Yes.
Don't mess with crap. It's gonna bring you in a bad spot.
Yeah.
And it leads you down a path that unfortunately some people will never come back from.
So is that 100,000 people all weekend long, or is that 30,000 a day?
Yeah, I think it was for the whole festival, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
so some people do a daily.
Right.
Some people do a 4-day ticket.
So they had 100,000 in attendance.
In attendance, yeah.
Is that
it was
is
over
that
100,000. But yeah.
over 100,000 individuals, or like
individuals? I said individual. I don't. So that would be So
if you had like a whole event pass and you're coming in 3 times, are they counting you 3 times?
That's what. Yeah, I don't know for sure. But
gosh, quality control.
Right.
Can you talk to me about it?
But they just re-upped their contract was up after this year, and they just re-upped it before it began. So
so it did get done.
The city, it brings in, I think they said somewhere around $300 million in tourism revenue.
Well, that's great, because we have a $4 billion like
deficit
budget
right.
or something like that. Right. It's crazy.
Right.
Chicago's its own little nation of multi-nation nations.
Yeah, and I think we've talked about it on here before, where because people outside of the city, they complain that Chicago sucks resources, and they're complaining about it, but when they actually did the breakdown of who gets the money, it's downstate that it gets, so if they, per dollar, I think Chicago gets 30 cents on every dollar that they give back.
Wow.
So that they're putting in the revenue.
Yeah.
They get 30 cents of a dollar back.
Wow.
And you get some people downstate that are actually getting some there's one place in particular, I don't remember the name of which city it was, but or which town. It was they get $3 back. So we're not sucking all of the resources out
of the state.
Right. We have a large amount of people who are generating a large amount of revenue.
Yeah.
So what I would like to say, all these people are let's cut Chicago out of Illinois. You really want to do that, Illinois? You would be in a really poor position if you decided to cut Chicago out of Illinois. So that's just a side note, everybody. But Chicago could exist by itself. I mean, we could be our own state, whatever. But yeah. So that's a side note, everybody. But yeah. So Lollapalooza's happening. Yeah, and so it's just a ton of bands. I mean, there's probably 25 to 30 bands every day, for 4 days. And I mean, it's deep. I mean, it's varied. Lots of different bands, lots of different genres. I think one of the nights, I don't know, is it the Friday or Saturday, I believe, is it's almost like a hip hop headline. They got J. Cole and all kinds, some hip hop artists that are Charlie XCX, So if you're familiar with it, you want to see the lineup. And Hulu picked it up again this year. So they started last year. Hulu picked it up and said we'd like to live stream it, making sure other people, that don't want to go and visit the 100,000 plus others, that hey, you can watch it on your TV at any volume we would like in your home. So last year we watched Foo Fighters that were here.
Yeah.
So this year Metallica was on last night. So we watched Metallica set. Me and Tyson watched all of it. The rest of the people caught a few songs, and then they were like,
"We out." Yeah. So and just for people who are because as I've been listening once again to 93.1 KXRT Chicago, Lollapalooza hasn't always been in Chicago. To your point, there's a contract. They've had Lollapalooza here over an extended period of time. I don't know how many years. But right now, there's 9 stages at Lollapalooza.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so you're like, man, 100,000 people. No, 100,000 people aren't listening to one band. It's distributed. Yeah, and J. Cole is on at 9 o'clock tomorrow night. Cascade, Big Sean, Wallows.
Wallows is a more, I guess, not alternative, but they are. I guess they are all alternative.
Dashboard Confessional is tomorrow at 4 on the Coinbase stage. I'm trying to see.
Oh, so Lollapalooza was created by Perry Farrell of Jane's Addiction.
Oh, wow. And he actually, I think if I understand correctly, he was at the fundraiser. Brian, is it Corbin? From Smashing Pumpkins?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he
He lives in Highland Park.
and has been a long time Highland Park resident, has a tea shop up there with a little stage.
Right.
So he did a fundraiser for the Highland Park shooting, raised $250,000 on showing that show. But Jane's Addiction singer was there and did the one of their well-known tracks.
Been caught stealing?
No, the one about Jane.
Oh, yeah.
Is and did some like jazzed version of it and stuff like that. They said it was pretty phenomenal to be able to take in, not thinking that it'd be sung that way.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, $250,000 to help support the families who lost loved ones in the shooting in Highland Park.
Yeah, so it looks like it was created in '91, and it was in Chicago, but then it was also in a number of other North American cities, and then it went on hiatus in '97. So reborn in 2005 as a midsummer event in Grant Park.
Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and this article, I think, was still a little bit older, but Lollapalooza is scheduled to be in Grant Park through at least 2021, which we know that this year's 2022, and they just re-upped it, I think, for another 10 years. So,
wow.
So like it will now continue here in Chicago. Yeah, but it's I would say for most of the Chicago residents, nobody usually even tries to go down there. I mean, yes, of course there's Chicago people who go, but there's a lot of kids that come in from the suburbs.
Yeah. And like a 1-day pass without any extras is $125, and if you want to get a general admission plus pass, it's $225 just for the day. Just to give people an idea, I know that Hinterland went to a 4-day this year, and so that'll be, gosh, that's coming right up. And
yeah, because they usually do that fall, right? More towards the fall.
Yeah, I mean, it's August 4th through the 7th. Like, it's literally right around the corner.
Yeah, so it's really not that far.
Yeah.
You're hitting that up again?
No. Steveo had enough of Hinterland last year. And it was a combination of things. I think, yeah, it'll be one of the first ones that I've missed since the inception.
Right.
By choice. And so, but yeah, I mean, the lineup for Hinterland this year is, I mean, really, really good. And Micah was asking me the other day about, like, if I had an in to be able to get tickets. I'm like, nope. Nope, can't do it.
Yeah.
Nathaniel Rateliff and the Night Sweats is on. Phoebe Bridgers.
Yeah.
Billy Strings. Oh my gosh, if you want to like dive into a crazy YouTube thing, listener, go to YouTube, type in Billy Strings, and just watch this kid pick. He is, it's like speed metal with folk music. And this dude's fingers, I mean, yeah, Jenny Lewis is playing Trampled by Turtles.
Yeah, Trampled by Turtles.
Lake Street Dive. Gosh.
Matt Carney. He used to be in the Christian realm.
Yep. But yeah, they've done quite the thing to be able to bring,
Yeah, Glass Animals, which is funny because Glass Animals is also here at Lala, so they must be going from here over to Hinterland.
does that work out in the math? I mean, like, so it's like the 4th through the 7th.
Yeah, well, they probably will stop maybe a couple of places and play, but I saw Glass Animals during the pandemic, and they were doing one of those shows during the pandemic online. So I hadn't heard of them. I think I had heard one of their songs, but they've got some like not techno, but they do play with some of the sound stuff. So they're not exactly. I mean, Nathaniel Rateliff would be. I mean, it would be great.
Yeah. Man, there was somebody that Michael was saying his buddy was coming, but I don't see them on here. Well, anyway, that is.
Yeah. So. Lots of, it was Coachella's early on, right? So that I think already occurred, but like I was like May or something. I think that's one of the first ones of technically, not technically, but summertime. But yeah, I like lots of 8035 is usually the beginning of July, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Did you hear how that went?
I didn't. I mean, on the social medias and stuff like that, it seemed like it was generally, good. I think one of the things was I saw that MV Core, even though they've played there a couple times, they were actually put in a more premier spot, like later on in the day. They've got a new album out, and I was making note. There's several artists that I need to get a hold of and sit down and listen. Head and Heart's got a new album out, and just different things. So, but a 4-day general admission pass, $250
to Hinterland.
Yeah. VIP admission. There's a wait list currently, but it's $550.
Did you do VIP last time?
I've never.
You didn't.
I've never
always
been,
done.
Just general admission. Yeah. And it works out all right.
Yeah.
They do have a way to save your time, and that is if you go down to Woolies, you can take your receipt and you can get your wristband and all that stuff done in town before you get there.
Oh.
And I think based on the attendance last year, I mean, like, you got to understand, I mean, like, in the first few years, there was maybe 6,000, 7,000 people there.
Yeah.
They had to count over 14,000 people in the same space. I mean, it was shoulder to shoulder. Holy cow. And I think that's another thing for me personally is
right.
And you can't take a chair in, so you got no backrest. This old man came rolling home. But I mean, you can bring.
So
in
you get a blanket, and that's
you get a
pretty
blanket
much it.
And then it's in a bowl shape, so like you can get some spots where you can see over the heads. Because it'd have to be a really good. Like I was, I don't know, 6 people back for the Head and the Heart. I would stand for that concert, to be close and.
Which I believe we did that for the Ava Brothers at 8035.
Yeah.
We moved up. And
Yeah. It was glorious. Yeah. So that's our perusings on the music scene, folks. So how are you doing out there in I'm Listening Land?
Yeah.
Lots of transitions, lots of things going on. I hear people talking like summer is over.
I hear that too.
They're like, everybody's all of a sudden, literally, I was coasting through life in typical Steveo fashion. My head was in the clouds. I was enjoying my environment. And then all of a sudden, within 24 hours, now my whole life is planned through the end of August. On multiple fronts.
Right.
Anybody who thought they were on a call with me about the end of August, this is not what I'm talking about, okay? I mean, but yeah, everybody's just getting all charged up and all ready. And like, I know my sister is, looking at, I think she's back at school 1st of August, and school. Yeah. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, usually the CPS, the local school here, Chicago Public Schools, go back later August, early, even post Labor Day.
Yeah.
August 14th this year.
Wow.
Or it's either 14th. Maybe it's teachers and staff go back 14th. Maybe the kids go back like a few days later, but either way. Like, so they're starting this year early so that they're also getting done earlier.
So what's that monkey virus going around?
Or monkeypox.
Ah, the monkeypox.
Yeah.
I think they're planning ahead.
I mean the monkeypox has hit really big in areas where there is sexually transmitted intercourse between man and man. Or
is this true?
It is true. Like I'm not trying to be able to put any false information out. It actually is. There's a lot. I mean, and then it can be passed from that to, to other people, like skin contact, that kind of stuff. But a lot of it is coming from there. Now, I don't know the ins and outs, but I did hear this on, like, the nightly news. And I usually don't watch the nightly news, everybody, but my in-laws are in town, and they like to watch the news. So, like, that's what happens when you give things up. You say, hey, like, you want to watch the news? Let's watch the news. So they were saying this on the evening news. Not local. It's one of the national ones, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Google tells me anyone can get monkeypox, which is primarily spread through close physical contact between people.
Yeah.
So you're saying intimate contact.
Well, so and the thing, they already even have a monkeypox vaccine.
Yeah.
But there are places that are already running out of it. Like, I mean, San Francisco, I think that they have almost 5,000 cases of monkeypox that are currently happening. Well,
right now in Chicago, it's ticking up. We have 18,000 vaccines, and they're saying that they don't have enough.
Yeah. So, because it says, so some of the key points, which is what I heard, it says men who have sex with men are at the highest risk of infection right now from monkeypox, according to the World Health Organization. 99% of the cases are among men, and at least 95% of those patients are men who have sex with other men, according to WHO.
All right.
So, so that statistic, like, it doesn't mean that that's the only people who are getting it, but it does mean that there's somehow this is affecting this section more than others.
Yeah.
And so from there, then you, yeah.
All right.
Then it can be spread outside of that.
Okay.
Yeah. So more than 18,000 cases have now been reported across 78 nations, and I think that's why they called it and this was as of 2 days ago. So, which is the reason why they sent out the alarm on it, saying, "Hey, everybody, like, let's watch for this. Let's be careful. Let's focus on, the transmission of this, so we don't have any, like, outbreaks."
Okay.
Or, I guess, major outbreaks, because we do have outbreaks right now, but...
Right. All right, folks. Well, you heard it right here.
Right.
So I was gonna hit you up with something I saw this week that just clicked in my head as brilliant.
All right.
Okay.
Let's see it.
And for everybody, there's a lot of change going on, and retail doesn't look exactly like it did when I was a 12-year-old. And so if you want to go back 4 decades and think about what it meant for you to shop in a store, usually if you went to a grocery store, there would be a person in retail who's pushing the buttons.
Yeah.
They'd see the price tags and they'd push the buttons.
Mm-hmm.
Then it would go down a little conveyor belt, and it would go down to the person who's bagging the groceries.
Uh-huh.
And then all the groceries would be bagged up and put in your cart, and you could take the cart and go to your car or vehicle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the way, right?
Yeah.
Because I was just thinking 4 decades ago I would have been 4, but
yeah. I mean, so flash forward 35 or 3.5 decades, and or even 3 decades ago.
right.
So then, when I went to college, then there was this place that was like a Save You More grocery store.
Mm-hmm.
And that whole thing was, hey, we're going to let the same person go ahead and click in the numbers, but then you take all the groceries and you bag it yourself, and we're saving you more.
Kind of like Aldi's, right?
Very similarly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But more of a bigger bulk store, than Aldi's got all this like flown in stuff from Germany and around the world and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But they are a big price saver.
Mm-hmm.
I think that might have been the name of their competitor, Save You More and Price Saver.
Okay.
Food for less.
I do know food for less.
All right. Yeah, that kind of concept.
I worked for Kraft when I was in high school.
Really?
Yeah.
Making cheese?
I was
Were you putting cellophane on the singles?
I would go to grocery stores and make sure that all the products were displayed correctly.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Velveeta cheese?
Velveeta's.
Nice.
Yeah. Mac and cheese.
Mac and cheese.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
All of that. And
Wow.
then you have some of the stuff in the refrigerator section where you had to make sure those cheeses from Kraft were all effaced. Right?
I like refrigerator cheese.
The refrigerator cheese.
Cheese that you have to keep chilled.
Right, because Velveeta, you don't always have to keep chilled.
No, it's not chilled. I mean, it's like that you're guaranteed to. I don't know. Somebody told me that they invented Velveeta cheese. It's one step away from WD-40. Hey, mark this under things don't believe Steve's saying. Okay, I have no way to prove that. I'm like, there was a certain radio personality that claimed to be, like accurate 99.7% of the time, and I'm like, I'm accurate 0.03% of the time. So
he's fact-checking himself right now.
Don't in casual conversation with family, friends, or neighbors say, man, did you hear about Velveeta? Mm-hmm. But a cheese that doesn't have to be refrigerated, you got to have some, like, it could be suspect. Yeah.
Which I got it. I mean, I do use Velveeta sometimes.
I know.
Not often, but there we go.
It gives you pause for what were they thinking when they named it Cheese Whiz?
Yeah. Right.
Like, is there a cheese producer that whizzes cheese?
I don't even know.
All right, so we're going through a historic analog version of what happens at the grocery store.
Right.
I mean, it's like if you need a way to really digest this is the mansplained grocery store evolution. All right, and in that, I would then say, somewhere along the way, all of a sudden it started showing up. Home Depot started having self-scanners.
Right.
Okay, then people caught on because then we could automate. You don't have to pay the hourly rate when you only need one person to watch over 4 registers, taking care of the problems.
Right.
Okay. Well, and then what they're like, pandemic. We won't even hire people to man the registers we do have. We'll just have everybody wait in line so that they can go through the self-check. Mm-hmm. Prices didn't go down.
Nope.
You just got to become the checker and the bagger. Mm-hmm. All right. Now, flash forward with me to the last time I went into Costco. I'm standing in line in the self-check area. And I walk in, and one of the pains in the butt about Costco self-check.
Yeah.
It demands that you put everything out of your cart into the weigh station that is thinking so fast of When this has been scanned, it will weigh this much in my bin. And it's calculating that to make sure that you have everything there, right?
Yeah.
Now, that sounds negative, but go with me just for a moment.
Got it.
What I love about Costco's self-check is they have one person for every 2 registers of self-check. So typically, if there's 6,
Yeah.
I'll see 3 people tending to the self-check.
Did not know that.
They have the ability to take their scanner
Mm-hmm.
and they click it to your register. It connects their hand scanner, and if you have lots of heavy stuff, they'll go around your cart and they'll scan all the stuff and you don't have to go in. Because in the programming, it recognizes that it's the person of authority who's beep, 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 clicking and, that
Yeah.
kind of thing. So, plus 1 for Costco. But here's the real advantage, folks. I need to make a YouTube video. Things you don't know about Costco, but really can help out.
Yeah.
They have a different color of receipt for the self-check.
Yeah. Is it blue?
It is blue.
Yeah.
See? And if you go through self-check, one of the individuals who's attending marks your receipt, and you don't have to stand in line to get out of the store to have the door person check your groceries.
Oh, I did not know that.
See? That's brilliant. That's added value right there.
Right.
You're going to take away value, because I would much rather on any lane in Costco that you go through and the person is beeping it going through the conveyor belt.
Right.
They have another person there who's organizing your cart so that they have 2 people for one of those.
Right. Sometimes.
Well, that's true. Yeah. So anyway,
but yeah, like ideally that they would have that.
So I just think that that's a brilliant customer service move from them. All it took is somebody to figure out, oh, well, we've already had our people touch this stuff. They see what's going on. We can just mark their register and they can go out.
Yeah.
Now, what I really appreciate about humanity is the lack of self-awareness that when I'm coming up behind you and you've already rushed past me, so if you have been watching me walk toward the door, then why in the heck, when you get to the person who's checking and you're a couple and one part of the couple is pushing the cart and the other part of the couple stands in the way of me getting out, and I have to then say, excuse me. Pardon me. Because I get to fly out because I got the blue receipt.
Wow. Yeah, I didn't even realize that they did that. I mean, what I had also appreciate then, I mean, yes, they are cutting down on the amount of people, but at least Costco also pays their workers really well.
Do they?
They do.
Okay.
Yeah, so I mean, they actually make. I mean, it's a living salary.
Oh wow.
Much of like the Costco workers are treated well. They have a retirement plan. They have health insurance. So they take care of them, which is why you don't have a large amount of turnover at Costco when you're looking at employment. So So I know that there's people out there that they definitely complain about. They believe that the automated tellers, the automated groups there are taking away from the jobs of people. And I'm not saying that that's not correct. I'm just saying so we should also look at trying to make sure we're paying people a living wage that are working, on there. So, yeah.
Well,
thanks for bringing that up, because I didn't realize that you could get out. I rarely use the self-checkout there unless I have less than 10 items.
Yeah. Well, every time I go up there, I'm thinking, dang it, I got to take this out of the cart myself, and I got to put this in here, and I got to, and I got a flat of water, and I put it on the scanner because my helper wasn't helping me, and it said, Do not place in the staging area. Put back in cart so there is no damage. And I'm like, I'm gonna damage you right now. But a pharmacy manager can make $175,000 at Costco. That's pretty good. But a person who's working the checkout is $16.75 an hour. But it does say here with an asterisk, which is 37% above the national average.
Wow.
Yeah. But I mean, minimum wage in Chicago is $15, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. So
actually, I think it's now even a little bit above 15. I mean,
yeah.
So they're moving up.
Yeah.
They're continuing to push it, especially with inflation, right? I mean, you'd think with the rate of inflation right now and trying to be able to catch up or keep up, like with a living wage during inflation, I don't think is possible. Yeah. Can't keep up.
Well,
because then the price of goods goes up, and then that's where inflation is like. I mean, it's like this big mess of economics.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
So, hey, folks, if you see anything brilliant out there where you're like, man, this just really worked out, I guess what I'm doing is just kind of giving a little bit of a twist that, there's plenty of things to irritate anybody out there, and we can focus on that. Or can we have our eyes wide open, and be able to pick up some stuff that we think, oh, that's brilliant.
Yeah.
I like that.
I like brilliant things.
Yeah, me too. How can we all be brilliant?
Right.
Yeah.
That's a good question to ask. And I mean, I love those like tips and suggestions things. I mean, like there was another one at Costco in which I can't remember what it was, but like if you're reading the price on things, you can tell if it's going up, if this is coming down, if it's going up, is this going to fluctuate? Like you can tell by the ending, sense
number
about it.
Yeah.
To be able to find out which one it is, and I can't remember what that is right now, but it's something with that where you're you're like, oh, like it's helpful information to know when you're shopping at Costco to find out is this going to go up? Well, then I should maybe buy two.
Yeah.
Is this going to fluctuate eventually?
Yeah.
So.
Is this discontinued?
Right. Is it? Yeah. Is it going to be gone? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So.
Well.
Helpful things.
These are. Yeah. So, you got anything else? I mean, we're rounding the corner on
Right.
we got about 15 minutes if we want to take that.
Right. I mean, it depends on how far you want to go on this, but I was mentioning to you I was listening to another podcast, and
I think we got time for that.
And the guy was talking. Yeah. He was talking about stillness, and as you know, I think we've brought it up on the show. Like, I have a problem with stillness, and what I found out about stillness, though, is that this isn't like even a new concept within our current reality. Like, there were people who have been talking about stillness for like 500 to 800, 900 years. So we're not just talking about the advent of the television or the radio or any other medium that comes into place, but like people have been struggling with stillness for a long, long time. And this particular author, he was kind of talking about stillness, and he believes that stillness is actually the way that we can become successful in our life that will lead to, happiness and all kinds of other stuff. But he talked to this Marcus Aurelius, Marcus Aurelius, Roman guy.
Well, how I know Marcus Aurelius is from a Roman movie.
Yeah.
It's not Braveheart. Isn't not Mel Gibson? Who
could be Gladiator?
Gladiator.
Could be.
Yeah, that's how I know Marcus Aurelius. All right.
So Marcus Aurelius even said he was talking about and you might recognize this one, but he said he writes of trying to be like the rock that the waves keep crashing over. He says, the one that stands unmoved and the raging of the sea falls still around it.
Wow.
So, like, if you're a stone in the river that's constantly in motion, you're going to get beat up, right? It's just the same as you tumble rocks, right?
Yeah.
That tumbling causes, things to shake and,
Yeah. Smooth it.
right, it'll smooth you out.
Smooths the stone out.
Right, but it also wouldn't be comfortable for the stone. But he's saying a stone that's unmoved, a stone that stays still, even while everything else is raging, actually then will be in a place where the water will eventually cease. So it's very much, I mean, yes, you can look at this lots of different ways as far as there's lots of people who've picked up on the stillness across the ages. So it could be, it's a philosophical for sure, but I mean, the Stoics have used stillness. The Buddhists have used stillness, so it's also in Eastern traditions. And there's an idea that stillness, like both, I think, internal and external, can lead to more of a focus or an attention. Now, I have a problem with stillness. I don't like to be still.
Yeah.
I like noise. I like music. I like movie. I like things playing even if I'm not paying attention to it. Right? And so stillness is kind of be able to kind of take those elements out of it and try to be able to find some kind of like stillness in the midst of like the raging river around us. So what do you think about stillness?
Yeah, I think me personally, people have said about me that, like, it seems like I stay calm, like during difficult things, and they're like, how do you do that? And I've always responded to, well, you don't know the inside of me. And so it's not to say, oh, I've achieved stillness. No, I mean, not like that. I just personally have found that reaction to chaos does not lead to peace. Hashtag, you can write that down.
All right. So explain.
Well, I mean, just when there's chaos around, or when things are chaotic, just going off and reacting to the chaos in itself, just that word brings you to a place where there's no order, there's no fashion, there's no form, there's no reason. It's chaotic.
Right.
Even in presentation of thought process, people can be chaotic in how they try to deliver an idea. If you want to see a picture of chaos, go back to the first 17 minutes of our episode. That was me being chaotic in my thought process.
Yeah.
That's not peaceful. I had everybody spinning, going in all the different directions, not knowing, and so there's unknown. And what does that tap into? It taps into fear. And from that, what you mentioned just even a couple episodes ago is that, fear will create this, flight syndrome, and so with that, I don't know, I take it in, and usually I'm a person that believes that time will be the revealer of what will withstand, so, I mean, quite frankly, but then again, you and I both have admitted personally to being tipped towards nihilism anyway.
Right.
So when stuff's coming at you and you're just like, it's so crazy and how this stuff and blah, 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 blah. I'm like, yeah, give it a couple days. I bet this wind changes, something like that. I don't know.
I think it's very close to what, so this guy, I think his name is Ryan Holiday. And he wrote his book. It's called Stillness is the Key. And that's where, like, to be steady while the world spins around you. To act without frenzy, to hear only what needs to be heard, to possess quietude, exterior and interior on command. And so part of that I can understand. Like, I think I rarely act in a frenzied state. I am also very similar. Like, I calm, maybe on the outside, not always internal, but like the whole possess quietude, exterior and interior, is also the part where on stillness that doesn't, it's not right. It's not with me, and like quietude is not one of those words I like to be able to utter very often.
Yeah, I think that there's a difference, though, between stillness and motion. And, even though there's an even-keeledness and there's a way to be able to take in response, it doesn't mean that you don't have, a longing and a wish for the motion of, I would throw this into my personal own boil down of life into this natural path. I'm a plate spinner. There's nothing cohesive about that at all, except for the consistent way of rotation of myself between different items that I'm, in the midst of.
Mm-hmm.
But even in that, it doesn't mean that I don't have don't take or practice or am a part of motions of stillness.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Huh. But obviously it's a great area to grow in.
Right. So he just breaks a couple of things down. He's like, and I won't, go into all these in detail, but he talks about journaling. He says, see the world like an artist. Right. So you want to see things vividly, like that are kind of alive already. If we're not paying attention to it, we won't see it that way. Manage your inputs. Take walks, which I know you are forced to take some walks sometimes.
Yeah, I'm living in a household that's we've got two different lifestyles going on. I walk all day long. So when I get home from a 10 or 12 hour day, I've been on my feet for 10 or 12 hours.
Right.
And my wife is, stuck in front of Zoom calls for 12 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And so like there's like forced on, if I was still doing an office job, I think my approach to walking would probably not be any different than it is right now.
Right.
Which is, why walk when you can sit on the couch? Enneagram 9.
Right.
Yeah.
So detach from outcomes. Stop watching the news. Ask questions. Read books. Put your phone away. Get rid of stuff, right? Minimalists. Seek solitude. Slow down. Look deeper. Enjoy the small pleasures. Take mindless mental wanderings. Empty your mind. Seek wisdom.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, and
so there's all
think
kinds of helpful hints towards a more stillness mindset.
Yeah, and I think one of my mantras pretty much every day is, asking for wisdom that comes from outside of me.
Right.
And so Seneca, who is also one of the Marcus Aurelius's people, drawing in on this idea, said, begin at once to live and count each separate day as a separate life. See, that's where I'm saying that with this, stillness doesn't mean you need to sit on top of a mountain and contemplate your navel.
Right.
But, there is a motion in living, but even in that, there can be a stillness in reaction of what you face.
Yeah. Inner stillness is the key to outer strength. There are lots of pithy quotes here on
Yeah.
Stillness. So there's probably, I mean, we've already gone over, the one from Marcus Aurelius, but just to be able to show you that this idea of stillness has existed, which means that they're usually speaking into the things that they recognize in people that were not still, and so they're calling to stillness. Just like today, when we have like even more, we have media thrown at us, all kinds of social media, like things to consume, things are spinning, and so even more so, like, what does stillness look like in your life?
Yeah.
And I don't say that as one who has conquered any version of that, but
You know what I found, though, is, again, and maybe it's an acuteness, and I'm going to wrap this back around, just because I have, like, not only put a foot out there to say, hey, I'm going to redirect post-pandemic.
mm-hmm.
Like, I really see my journey right now is a healing path.
Yeah.
From what was lived through from entering into the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, if I need to get clearer for our listeners, is to say that anytime trauma has occurred, you don't blame the person who went through the trauma for the poor decisions that they're making.
Right.
You take time and you let time heal, and in process of conversation and community, you work through that, and as you're working through it. So, I bring this, to a place to say that that in that new path, there's still, an awareness of just because things are happening doesn't mean that has to create chaos, or I have to, that I, just making different decisions based on, and, that different decision could be, and I'm going to use it like eating a half a bag of chips, but I mean, really that wasn't my thing. I don't know. I'm just going into this idea of stillness. I can recognize where there's a saturation that's occurred with, like, even media or noise, or like there's just times I just like to not have anything going on. Last night I got home from the studio and got cleaned up and sat down on the couch, and I mean, just did not turn a TV on, and just requited, went through processes of just exhaling and taking in, okay, that was the day, and so there's the adventure. But you gotta tap into that, and yet stillness, I do not believe, from the things that I've read after you brought it up, it's not saying sequester yourself into a cave and lead a life of and so
Right.
Just gotta take a look at it. I walked into Aldi's the other day, and some parent had their kid that was just going ape at the ice cream counter, like part of the freezer, and I'm like, I can't handle this. My nerves are a little bit raw right now,
Right.
and stuff. So,
Yeah.
and I think that for people who have exploited nerves, and that you just have to ask the question of, in the rawness of those nerves, what things are you using to cope with the rawness?
Mm-hmm.
And are those things really accomplishing what you were hoping that they would accomplish? Or have they turned the corner on you and they're creating more rawness than the rawness of your own nerve?
Good question.
That's how we like to leave it.
Yeah. All right, so everybody contemplate that, on this Sunday episode.
Or
Contemplating all the things that we have brought up today.
if you're walking through Walmart, find somebody and look at them and say, "Hey, I'm Buddha. Would you rub my belly?"
I wouldn't encourage that.
to make a wish.
You take that on yourself. That is not something you want to, come back to us with.
It's not the official. It's not the official stance of Cut Daisies and Unicorns.
No.
But how funny would that be? That would be hilarious. You could wear like a little cardboard sign and say, "Hey, I'm Buddha. Rub my belly, make a wish." I don't like people touching me. I'm never gonna do that.
No, I would not enjoy that. Would not enjoy that.
Or go do it the other way. Is Buddha here? Hello, I'm looking for Buddha. I need to rub your belly.
Try that too. Yeah.
Don't.
You can write us and tell us how that adventure goes.
Oh my gosh. All right.
Oh man, we're gonna leave that there on this day. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday or Monday.